For me, when I'm watching on television and I find our leaders who should have been working together all along to address these problems that commonly affect their countries, wait until they are invited to go to Europe to sit there and just, it's like they are made to sit down and address their problems. Why does anybody wait for that? What image does it even give about us, about Africa?
In today's video, this man, Paul Kagame, the president of Rwanda, there's a time he gave this speech and it was amazing, and a lot of African leaders were shocked about what he said, but he said the pure truth. And sometimes I came to think that we don't need speech alone, we need actions. Let's listen to what Paul Kagame said, and then we're going to talk about it.
When it comes to Africa, I'm sure many people in this audience will have made the same observations. I think we must take responsibility and accept our failures in dealing with these matters. For example, relating to what President Obasanjo has just said, on the case of Boko Haram, or you can use that for many other cases. For me, when I'm watching on television and I find our leaders who should have been working together all along to address these problems that commonly affect their countries, wait until they are invited to go to Europe to sit there and just, it's like they are made to sit down and address their problems. Why does anybody wait for that? What image does it even give about us, about Africa? In fact, the image it gives is that we are not there to even address these problems. We are there for a photo opportunity. We are happy to sit there in Paris with the president of France and address, and just talk about addressing problems. It doesn't make sense that our leaders cannot get themselves together to address problems affecting our people. It doesn't make sense. Of course, I'm saying this painfully. On the other hand, that I look forward for the time when I can be like the two former presidents. I think they are more free to say things than I do. Being where they are and me being where I am. So I tend to remain with some reservations about what I have to say, because, but I think there is that serious problem. African leaders, we don't need to be invited anywhere to go and address our problems without first inviting ourselves to come together to tell each other the actual truth that we must tell each other about our serious problems. So, I mean, again, look at the problem of South Sudan, indeed. The first problem was about this country and the people there wanting to be independent. They got independence. Now that turned into a problem. How? So you have one war being fought, waged to be independent, then you have to fight another when you have achieved independence. Just fighting among themselves. Why? So some of these underlying root causes should and could have been addressed by the leaders there. whatever happened, whoever was wrong, that's not the issue. It is still the responsibility of leaders. If they can't resolve the matters themselves, why not? Why not call upon neighbors to say, come and help? We have a problem here. Maybe there is a problem between the president and the vice president. And if they can't resolve it, and each one thinks he's the one who is right and the other is wrong, and they are going to divide the army and the government and everybody else to go on either side and start fighting. Well, I think in between the time that starts and when it actually happens, something can be done. But it has to be leaders to work towards that and avoid the catastrophe that, like we are seeing or have seen or that has already happened in South Sudan. But of course, the unfortunate part is that the most majority who suffer are the innocent people who have nothing to do with it. Women, children, and even many men are innocent in that situation. So this is, I'm not giving answers, probably I'm raising more questions than, or adding to others that have been raised. So for the time being, let me stop here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome back. Thank you. You have heard what Paul Kagame has told the African leaders. The problem of Africa, African leaders know all of them. The leaders of Africa knows what we need to do, where we need to change, and what we need as Africans for Africa to be great. According to Paul Kagame, and which he has spoken the pure truth, is that African leaders don't want to amend things. They don't want to solve their issues by themselves. They are waiting for them to be called somewhere there in France, to be called somewhere there in Russia, to be called in South Korea, to be called in United States, and they get that opportunity to go there. 54 presidents, 54 state presidents, privilege of getting a photo. And even if they are there, they are not discussing the will of the people of Africa. They are not discussing the betterment of Africa. What they are going to do there is getting a photo, 1, 2, and shaking hands with the president from Russia, shaking hands with the president from China, and the Chinese people, the French people, or the Western people, the oppressor, will bring their demands to them and tell them, we need to get this from Africa. We need your help. Now the presidents of Africa will give away. Instead of them solving the issues of Africa, they are increasing the problems of Africans. We have United Nations. We have AU, African something. We have, you see right now, there are being candidates. They want to run for the chairmanship of AU. We have our problems that we can solve by ourselves. What is the work of AU? What is the work of African or United Africans? What is the work of this? If they cannot come together, they cannot sit and discuss the issue of Africa. What is the work of AU? What is the work of ECOWAS? What is the work of East African Community? What is the work of these 54 presidents? They are like students or children, whether they make problems, but they cannot amend their problems. They will wait for a teacher to come and call them so that they can solve their issues. Sometimes as a youth, I sit down and think about the leadership of Africa. I think about the leadership of African countries, and I come to understand, or sometimes I think maybe we are being led by mental problem presidents, or we are being led by children, or we are being led by someone who is controlled by a robot. Sometimes I think that these our presidents are not the one who we elected. Sometimes I think that they are just controlled as robots. They see a problem somewhere in your country, there is no roads, and you have the money. You have the potential to make that road. You have the potential to build that hospital. You have the potential to dig that borehole in certain region in your country, but you cannot do that. You will wait until you are being called by the Chinese people to go and discuss the issue of borehole in Africa. You will wait for you to go in Russia and meet Putin for you to discuss the issue of roads in Africa. You have to go somewhere in France for you to discuss the issue of hospitals in your country. Where are we wrong? What are we not doing right as the people of Africa? Why are our leaders behaving like this? And where we find good leaders, like a leader who wants to bring change, they won't vote him in. Sometimes we say we the people will vote him, but the system does not want him. We find someone like Julius Malema who have the interest of the people. They will not want him in the power. Burkinabe President Ibrahim Traore, they are looking every day. They want to overthrow his government. Where are we going wrong as Africa? What do we need to do as Africans? And the message to the youths of Africa, we see what's happening. We are seeing what's happening. And we can change this. We have to be innovative. We have to be creative. We have to take back our country. We have to take back Africa. We have to take back our land. We have to amend things. Because I see where a country wants to build a road, they go call the Chinese engineers, and yet we have engineers. I talk about that every time. We don't have teachers in school, and yet we have qualified teachers. They are going away. I talk about that every time. We don't have doctors, and yet we have doctors who have learned in our country, and they are going away. Because the government does not give them a leeway. The government does not provide for them. The government does not want to pay them for the teachers to teach in our countries. Where are we going wrong? And I'm urging the leaders like Paul Kagame, this speech, I have seen how Paul Kagame has changed Rwanda. Rwandese people, they love Paul Kagame because he is doing something great for the country. Even if it's not up to 50%, but he's doing at least 10%, 20%, he is changing the nation. Paul Kagame decided just one day, I want my country to be as clean as possible. Now Rwanda is one of the most cleanest country ever. Because he decided. He have decided we don't want noise in churches. We want to regulate. It is a decision to do as a president of a certain country. Wake up, make a decision whether who will love or not. But if it's the interest of the people, it's for the people. Wake up as a president and say, I want to build boreholes in certain drought region. Then do it. Mr. Beast came to Africa and built a number of boreholes, build wells in Kenya, and something that our president or our government can do. But we cannot do because we are meant of begging. Our mindset is all about begging. We have been brainwashed to think that we cannot do anything great as Africa. I am not manipulating you or what to think. You may have your best or another idea. On the comment you tell me. But I don't think if you are seeing the same thing. I am seeing that African presidents, all they do is being controlled by certain people. I am thinking of African presidents being robots. I am thinking of mental ill people in power. I am thinking of children in power. I am thinking of people who take a country like their own house. Even their own house, sometimes they take care of their house, but they are not taking care of the country. I am thinking of a president who thinks that I can't do anything good for my country because I will die one day and all these people will die. You don't need good roads. You don't need good hospital. You don't need good schools because we all die. So I'm thinking of president who don't care. He only care about today. He don't care if some people will live the other day. Why do we have to go solve our problems somewhere in China? Why do we have to go and solve our problems somewhere in France, somewhere in Russia, somewhere in Vietnam? And yet we have AU, yet we have ECOWAS, yet we have EAC, yet we have these groups that we can solve our problems inside here. Why? The reason why we don't have geniuses, we don't have minds, brains in our country is because this president does not solve the problem of the country by using the people of the country. We are solving our problems by going somewhere else to bring aid, and which we don't. Because when we are going there to solve our problems from there, they demand something. Where have we gone wrong? But thank you to Mr. President Paul Kagame. This man has spoken truthful words. But we are not living alone for words. We need actions. And I believe Paul Kagame has the actions. I believe the people of Rwanda, tell me on the comment section that Paul Kagame is doing something great. We are looking the president who will make decisions, bold decisions, who will be fearless, who will speak direct to the face of the oppressors and tell them, no. This is not the way to do in my country. Our 54 presidents are going from here, going somewhere there. They are being carried in school buses and lorries like children's, and go and take a photo and shake hands with the white man in the name of helping Africa. And you will come here bragging that I took a photo with the Russian president. How does that help me as a citizen of Africa? How does that help me as a child who is sleeping hungry? How does that help me as children who don't access health facility, don't access education? How does that help me as a businessman in Africa who does not have access to good roads? You taking a photo with South African or South Korea president, you taking a photo with the China president, how does that help me? You are just exploiting me. Tell me what you think on the comment section about this topic. I am the Kenyan Beast, of course. Until next episode, peace be with you.